You know, people will click on an image in in our gallery. We have, what, more than 2 million pictures on the gallery? They think, oh, that's nice. But they probably don't realize what it took to get that picture on their computer screen. From cataloging that picture, looking at it, describing it, what does the picture show, maintaining the digital files, and we also had to preserve the original picture. And some of these, they date back on more than 100 years now, and they have to be put in very special storage conditions, otherwise they deteriorate and they disappear completely. So there's so much that you don't perhaps realize. The Department of Records and Information Services has 3 components. It takes care of records for all 50 city agencies, non-federal courts, and the district attorneys. The other part of the agency is the municipal library, which dates back to the 19-teens. Then the third component is the municipal archives, which has the original source records. In other words, the records created by a particular person in an office, dating back to the Dutch colonial period, 400 years of records. What you're seeing here is a tiny fraction of our holdings. The bulk of our holdings are in storage in our new facility in Brooklyn. I think we've done a pretty good job in improving the physical conditions in which the records are stored. 31 Chambers Street has climate control and good storage conditions. So that alone is probably the most important thing. Because if you store the records properly, that's the key to long-term preservation. The people who use the materials in the archives and library are very diverse. Current political leaders and the administration, to people who live in the city, who need to prove something about their property, students doing papers, architects doing restoration, authors of books and biographies, and a very big component are people doing their family history. More than 10 million historical vital records are online, but not everything. So some people do need to still come in to do the research. This is another one here. Someone wants to know the cause of death for someone who died in 1948. This book here. I learn something new on a daily basis, mostly from my very smart colleagues, but also sometimes from doing the research, and I'm discovering something that we had that I did not know we had. This was sitting over in the reference room since 1988, right? Uh-huh. Cuba and Puerto Rico, U.S. soldiers' deaths, 1898 to 1900. What has that got to do with New York City? Why do we have those records here? Buried in Arlington Cemetery. Oh, okay. But look at this. Originally buried in Cuba, received on Buford. That turns out to be the name of a ship. That ship came to New York City. It's really an extension of the bodies in transit. Because New York City was very concerned about disease. There was a yellow fever epidemic in Cuba, which is why each one of these things says, his remains have been placed in a proper hermetically sealed casket and their removal will not endanger public health. So that's why we have this record. But you put the two of them together.
And it makes sense.
And you got some good information here. I knew from, that day in October 1977, almost, from day one, when I walked in here, I thought, oh, I'm really interested in history and New York City, and this is it. Here we are. The city's history is told in what we do here. If you live here and you want to know about the place that you live or grew up in or visited, this is where you're going to come to find out. And that what we do is help you do that.